Hello, welcome to YHELPtalk with Sarah. Today we are here with Dr. Brian Sutton, therapist and co-founder of For Us Therapeutics, discussing mental health support for teens. Hi Brian, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
So tell us about yourself and your organization.
So my name is Dr. Brian Sutton, or Dr. B as a lot of people call me. I've been a Washington, D.C. native my entire life, born and raised here. I joined the United States military for a little bit, worked in the United States federal government, and then I decided that I wanted to go into the thing that I love the most, which is mental health therapy. I knew I wanted to be a therapist all the way back in high school, so I went to school, got educated, and then me and my younger brother started our own organization that's tailor-made and geared towards serving the community that we come from. So For Us Therapeutics is the name of the organization that I co-founded and own with my younger brother. Serve all minority groups, but we specifically target the African-American community for the sheer fact that we know that a lot of people are looking for therapists that look like them, that come from the same background that they have. But our organization has grown and broadened our scope and our reach. So we still specifically target Black people, but we try to serve all minority groups as a whole.
And what is mental health and why is it important?
Mental health, most of the time when people think of mental health, they immediately jump to the disorder itself. They don't necessarily think about all the positive things that are associated with mental health. My favorite phrase to say is that mental health is your awareness of your experience and being authentically you in every space you find yourself in. So when you're having a good time and you're able to recognize that you're happy and having a great time while you're there, that is your mental health. When you're navigating a stressful environment, like your home life, depending on like if you're dealing with your parents who are getting on your nerves, a bad relationship, and you're able to recognize that you're feeling sad, disappointed, or depressed, that is your mental health. Mental health is an overall well-being of a person's way of thinking, recognizing their emotions. It's important because you can only go as far as your emotions and thoughts allow you to go. And I say it that way for a reason, because critical thinking is a very, very important skill. And if you're not used to thinking outside of the box, you can only go as far as you're comfortable, because then your emotions will kick in and you'll start to feel stressed, unmotivated, disappointed, depressed, or whatever it is. And that's usually where it stops. So once you learn how to navigate hurdles and setbacks, or navigate success and be able to reflect and see where you can keep growing, then you can go past that. That's why mental health is very important.
Can you explain neuroscience and how it is connected to mental health?
So neuroscience is actually the study of the brain and the nervous system. Neuroscience and psychology, or neuroscience and mental health, are two different fields. Neuroscience is actually studying the brain, the nervous system, and how it all works. However, neuroscience is connected to mental health because it helps to inform best practices in mental health. So for instance, we know that 15 to 75% of all mental health services are determined by the relationship that the therapist forms with the person coming for help. We learn that through neuroscience. Neuroscience studies the brain and sees exactly what part of the brains are activating when engaging, what type of brains are activating when you're stressed. It takes that part and lets us know if what we're doing is working for X problem or Y problem. So it's connected to mental health by way of allowing us to know exactly, yes, you were right, this was working, this works better with this, or this should be tried with that.
Can you give some examples of how teens can prioritize their mental health?
Yes, one best way that teens can prioritize their mental health is doing little check-ins with themselves. People underestimate the power of journaling sometimes. And the crazy thing is we now have smartphones, so you don't even have to go too far to journal. So one way that they can prioritize their mental health is when they're going through something, whether it's good, bad, or neutral, they can take out their phone. And I always encourage teenagers to do one thing. Google what's called an emotional wheel. Emotional wheels are very, very useful. What it is that at the center of the wheel are the basic core emotions, and then it branches out to the outer crust of the wheel that gives you more language for different emotions, like fear at the center of one, and then you'll see anxiety, worry, insecurity, things like that. I always tell teenagers, use the emotional wheel and then use journaling where you're trying to figure out what you're feeling about a situation. It could be a breakup with someone that you're dating, a bad interaction with a friend, a bad interaction with your teacher or parents, or a positive interaction. You sit there, just pull out the emotional wheel, and just type on your phone exactly what emotion you're feeling about what just happened. That's a real good way to prioritize it, because it does check-ins with yourself, so that way you're able to name and understand what emotion you're dealing with the situation that caused that emotion.
How can teens identify their triggers, and what can they do to cope?
It's very, very difficult to identify your emotion. That's why I always tell everybody use the emotional wheel. It's sometimes a lot easier for people to listen to their bodies. So one way to identify your trigger is noticing certain things. Like if you're triggered, listen to what your body is doing. Is it any movement or is it still? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it heavy? Is it light? Is it tense or is it loose? So I use those 4 points, even though there's 2 prongs at the end of each point, as a foundation to help people to listen to their body. One way to identify a trigger is this. If you feel energy flowing through the body, you feel your temperature went up, or your heart rate going fast, if you feel heaviness on your chest or on your gut, if you feel like, tingling in your neck, pay attention to what your body is saying. You are probably being triggered in that moment by whatever just happened. That's one way to pay attention to your trigger. The other thing you can do to kind of ground yourself or cope through your trigger, there's 2 techniques that work really, really well. There's a thing called a grounding technique, where you could take something that's close to you, like mine's right here, this is the remote to the fan, and you can use your 5 senses or 4 senses, I don't want nobody chewing on the remote, to describe the item that you have in your hand. You just focus on the item and describe it. And if your mind wanders to the thing that's triggering you, don't get mad, don't get upset. Just gently refocus back on the item. You describe the color, the texture, the letters that you see. If you want to smell it, you can smell it, describe how it feels against your skin. That regrounds you back into the moment and calms your fight or flight system down so you're not triggered. Another thing you can do is a breathing exercise. These tend to be a lot easier that people gravitate towards. It's called box breathing or 4-count breathing. The name varies when you look it up online, but the principle is still the same. You just breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, and then you exhale for 4 seconds. And you repeat for about maybe 60 seconds while focusing on your breathing. If your mind drifts to the thing that's triggering you, don't get upset, don't be mad, just refocus back on your breathing, because neuroscience has shown us that if we do not think about the thing that's triggered us and we focus on our breathing or the object that we're describing for 90 seconds, our body's reaction to that emotion will actually go away.
What are some positive aspects of seeking therapy?
There's a lot, actually. One thing is that it increases your mental flexibility, as I call it. So in therapy, most of the time people think that you're going to come here, I'm going to tell you what to do and how to fix you. I don't tell people what to do. I don't fix anybody. But what I do is I create a space, and what we do is you bring the scenario that you want to talk about, and what we do is we unpack that scenario, situation, issue, or problem together. I simply help you identify what emotions you're feeling. I help you identify what you were looking for, what you end up getting, and what your thoughts are around it. When I help you go through that process of being able to identify those things, it makes you more flexible for when you leave therapy. So that way, when you go out and another situation pops up, you're able to understand, nope, I know what that feeling is. Before you were, the phrase people always say is, I feel some type of way. Well, after therapy, you are able to name exactly what that is. I feel disappointed. I feel disgusted. I feel angry. I feel numb. I feel anxious. And the moment that you're able to name it, it gives you a lot of power, because then your body starts to regulate you back to base just a little bit. But then once you're able to name it, then you're able to understand exactly what caused me to feel this way. I didn't like what this person said to me. I don't agree with this opportunity. I don't like how this situation is going, whatever it is. What used to be difficult for you to name now becomes easier, and you're able to break it into 2 pieces. My emotions versus what I was thinking and what I saw. That makes you very flexible, because then when you're able to understand what you're dealing with, you now get to decide, how do I want to be or navigate it moving forward? I feel anxious. because I don't like how this conversation is going. I want to stop the conversation. Then I'm going to set a healthy boundary. Look, I'm feeling anxious right now. I don't like what we're talking about. I don't feel like talking about it. That's how therapy increases your flexibility. You now know exactly what your body and your emotions are saying, how you feeling, what you think about it, and then how you want to go about being or dealing with the situation.
Well, if someone doesn't have a therapist, who can they talk to for support?
I think that's a great question. There's a lot of people that I think that people underestimate the role they play in your life. A good friend that's good at listening, not someone that's going to give you unsolicited advice. So when I say a good friend that's good at listening, you also got to make sure that this friend doesn't judge you neither. So a good friend that listens and doesn't judge you and is willing to sit with you, even if they don't have the right words, which they probably won't, someone that's willing to sit with you. And I take that from your friend. It could be like that with your parents as well. If your parents are good at listening and they won't judge you or they won't give unsolicited advice, you can listen to them as well. Or you can go and tell them that I don't want any advice right now. I just want you to listen and just hear what I have to say. Now, it's difficult because parents automatically want to fix the problem for their baby. No matter how old you are, you're still their baby. However, you can still lay down ground rules and go, I don't want a solution right now. I just need you to be here and be with me. Another person you can go talk to is a spiritual leader of some sort, your pastor, priest, imam, whomever it may be. They're actually, some of them are trained in listening, some are not, but they tend to be very, very good resources to listen to as well. Another person you can listen to is actually talk to is the school counselor. They're trained in therapies in similar fashions as professional counselors are. So you can go talk to them as well. But there's a list of people that you can talk to, and those would be the ones that I would recommend starting.
Is there any advice you would like to give?
Yes. The one thing that I would like to give is this, is that usually when you're dealing with something, your fight or flight system is activated. The advice I like to give is this. Every teenager should practice mindful breathing for at least 3 minutes a day to every other day. The reason being is because as a teenager, you're trying to navigate the world. There's a lot of hormones being dumped into your body all the time, and it's turning up your fight or flight system. You got to find some type of way of turning it down. Sports is a good way of turning it down. Social interaction with your friends is a good way of turning it down. Journaling, playing video games, listening to music is a good way. Keep doing those things. Another option, if you don't have any tool, is doing mindfulness breathing. You can Google it if you want a more in-depth explanation. But an easy way of doing mindfulness breathing is sitting in a chair comfortably, like the chair I have. You don't got to get too comfortable because you'll fall asleep. Just take your hands, you place them on your thighs, you sit, and all you do is close your eyes. You can breathe deep if you want to. You don't have to. And you just focus on your breathing. You focus on the air going in your lungs and out of your lungs. And as your mind drifts, it's just gently refocus back on your breathing. It will help to calm down your fight or flight system. It'll help to calm down anxiety. It'll help to strengthen your brain against depression. It'll help to calm down and strengthen your brain against stress. So mindfulness breathing for about 3 minutes, just focusing on your breathing. If your mind drifts to something else, that's okay. Just refocus on your breathing, because that's actually the mindfulness part. That's the best advice that I can give teenagers, because it strengthens key areas of the brain that are heavily impacted by stress.
And how can anyone follow or support your organization?
So if you want, you can follow us on Instagram at foresttherapeutics.com. You can follow myself at Dr. Brian Sutton on Instagram. We're also on Facebook. We don't have a TikTok yet, and we don't have X, because X is the wild, wild west, so we stay off of X. But you can follow us at Forest Therapeutics on all platforms, and you can see our website at www.foresttherapeutic.org.
Thank you for watching. Please go to YHELPnow.com and follow at YHELPnow for all your mental health and life skill resources.